Welcome to the Built-in Silence podcast. This is where disciplined people think louder than they speak. Sit back, lock in, and let's break down ideas that make you sharper.
I've noticed that some capable people stay stuck because they keep waiting for someone to tell them what to do. They see a problem, they know what's going to happen, and then guess what? They wait. They wait for a manager to notice. They wait for clearer instructions. They wait maybe until somebody else gives them permission to act. And then guess what? Somebody else steps in. That person is not always smarter than them. That person is not always more qualified than them. They just simply move first. And a lot of people think that this or that itself is confidence. But guess what? It's not always confidence. Sometimes it's just understanding the difference between needing approval and needing direction. There are things that need approval. Money, policy changes, maybe something like major decisions, or work that affects other people, pay or problems, right? Or their lifestyle. But there are things that you can do by yourself without being told. For example, you can organize the information. You can identify the problem. You can build the first draft. You can bring a solution instead of only bringing a complaint. Or you can ask a better question. Most people do not get overlooked because they're quiet. They get overlooked because their judgment stays invisible. They see the issue, but nobody sees that they saw it. They have like this idea in their mind and in their hands, but nobody hears it until somebody else says it. Then they all sit there thinking, I was just going to say that. Damn, meaning maybe that's you. I was going to say that. But if you didn't know, going to does not change anything. The observable reality, meaning things that you can see with your eyes, does. At work, people can only respond to what you actually do. Not what you notice, not what you meant to say, not what you would have done if somebody gave you the opening. And that's the part that most people, I don't sometimes, but that's the part most people do not like to hear. Waiting itself can feel responsible. Sometimes it is. But did you know that waiting can also be a way to avoid being wrong in public? If you wait for someone to tell you exactly what you need to do, then the outcome is not fully on you or me. We are just following instructions, and for some, that feels safe. But people who move into better roles are trusted with uncertainty. They are trusted because they can look at this unclear situation or unclear problem and create the next step. Not the bigger solution to like the big problem, right? To simply the next step up the ladder. Now, let me make this more practical in things that you can actually do or think of. Set deadlines coming up and your team is missing information from another department. The person waiting for permission says nothing. They assume that the manager will handle it. Then guess what? 2 days later, the deadline is missed. The person who shows judgment does something differently. They gather what's missing. They send a short message. And then guess what? The message will say something along the lines of, here is what we still need to gather or deliver to meet to meet Friday's deadline, right? And once we get together, I can consolidate the next morning once we come in. That's like an example. But Think about it. That's not overstepping your authority. You did not make the decision for everyone. You just made the problem visible and created a path forward. Or maybe another example is your team keep getting the same question. That person waiting for permission answers the same question every single time. That person who shows judgment says, we have answered this 3 times. I put together a 1-page guide so people can find it faster. Again, you do not need a meeting, you do not need a title. You saw a repeated problem and made it the work easier. And for me personally, in the observable reality, how you see things, I think that's what people notice. Not because you announced it, but because you created something that they, your coworkers, or whoever you work with or live with, that they can use. Now, there's a simple question you can ask yourself before you wait for permission. Do I actually need permission, or do I need to use judgment? If you do need permission, ask for it clearly. If you need direction, ask a specific question. But if the next step is already inside your lane, fucking take it, goddamn. A lot of introverted people struggle here because they want to be accurate, like myself. We want to think through like the whole outcome of how it's going to happen towards the end. We don't want to waste people's time with a bad idea. And that's useful, right? Nothing wrong with that at all. But it becomes a problem when you wait until your ideal is perfect inside your head. At that point, someone else may have already acted on the reservation of the idea that's in your head. Meaning that you do not need to walk into a room with complete certainty. You need to walk in with a clear observation. So, next time you have an idea or something in your head that you want to do, try this or say this. I notice this keeps happening. I think this is the cause. Here's what I recommend that we do next. That gives people something real to respond to. They can agree, they can disagree, they can maybe adjust to the thing that you say. But now, the conversation about whatever topic that is has started. But before that, it only existed within your head. And that ideal or thought right there is important. Why is it important, you may ask? Taking initiative doesn't mean acting reckless. It doesn't mean making decisions outside your authority. It doesn't mean fixing every problem itself. Because at least I think that will burn you out fast. To me, it means knowing where you can move without creating a bigger problem. You can prepare, you can clarify, and you can organize. And you can communicate as well, and also we can recommend what you think needs to be done. Now, by doing those, you can make it easier for the person with authority to make the decision of what they need to do, whatever that is they need to do. And that's where quiet people have an advantage. You already spend time watching what's happening. Because guess what? We knows the gaps. We see when people are confused, sometimes of course. You see the task nobody owns. But the goal is not to be louder than everyone else. The goal is to turn what you notice into a useful action for somebody else to do, or for you to do. Meaning, stop waiting for someone to notice the problem first. Stop treating every unclear situation like you are powerless. Stop keeping your best judgment private. And start bringing the observation. Start bringing that first step. Start asking whether you actually need that permission. The people who move forward, at least to me, what I think, right? The people who move forward are not always the most confident. They're often just the ones who act before someone else has to tell them to. Now, if this helps you, subscribe. I make videos for introverted professionals who want to take their work and their judgment seriously.
Thanks for tuning in. Remember, growth doesn't need an audience. Keep moving in silence and let the work echo later. Catch you on the next one.